Hi and welcome to this video log with me, Wayne from swimmingcyclingrunning.com. Well, I've had this idea for this video log in my mind for some time, and it's about breathing strategies whilst you're racing. Now, breathing strategies while you're racing must be different to breathing strategies while you're training. When you're training, it makes ultimate sense to balance up your stroke, to breathe bilaterally, or to breathe one side going up one way and the other side coming back the other way. So you do balance up your stroke, you get used to breathing one side or the other. And that way, if you hit a situation in a race where you have to breathe to one side, either if it's a sea swim and the waves are coming from one side, so you have to breathe to the other, otherwise you won't be able to breathe at all, or there's people on one side of you kicking up a fuss and you wouldn't be able to breathe to that side successfully, so you have to breathe to the other side. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who naturally swim faster breathing one side or the other, and there's normally a reason for it. And if that happens to you, then you should breathe to a particular side during the race. I'm going to go to the computer and show you a couple of examples, and once we've done that, I'll come back and have another chat. Okay, so to illustrate the point, we're going to look at this particular swimmer, and you'll see that her hips are broaching the surface of the water on every single rotation. And that's exactly what we want. We want a streamlined swimmer in the water. Now, there are other things wrong with this stroke, but we cannot fault the actual streamlined nature of the front crawl swimming, which is exactly what we want to see in a triathlete. Okay, so now I'm going to take a look at a swimmer who's bilateral breathing. They're first going to take a breath to the left and we'll see what happens. Breaths taken to the left. We'll do this in slow motion. Notice the hip here is literally on the surface. We'll get rid of that. And as he goes through the stroke, that hip drops away from the surface dramatically. We're now going to breathe on the right hand side. We'll take it step by step again. As he turns to breathe, he's actually breathing much quicker, and the hip stays on that surface much better. We're going to breathe to the left hand side again, but twice. And again, we're staying on the surface, and then suddenly that hip drops away from the surface, as you can see there. I'm going to breathe again to the left, and again stays on the surface and then starts to drop away dramatically. You saw that there. On the surface, drops away dramatically. Now, the side that this swimmer breathes, where they drop away from the surface with their body and their hip, means that they're probably slower breathing to that side. So their race strategy may well be better to breathe to the right hand side, not the left. Okay, so we're going to take a look at another swimmer here in slow motion. And the swimmer initially breathes to the right, and the hips stay very much in alignment there, just a slight wobble. Breathes to the left, and they initially stay in line, and then suddenly that dip happens. You can see that in slow motion. See that hip rise up to the surface and fall down from the surface there. So we've now got a gap between the buttocks and the surface, which we didn't have before. It wasn't so great before. That is likely to have an effect on swim speed if you're actually in a race, which, if you are in a race, really might mean that you need to develop a different strategy. Okay, so I think you can see that for some people, a lot of people, breathing to one side rather than the other actually must make sense during the race. And you can test that. You can test this whole theory. What you should do is a set of, for example, 200-meter swims, where you breathe to one side, bilaterally, and to the other side. The first thing you've got to do is get used to breathing to that particular side or bilaterally. Then you time each, trying to swim at the same intensity, and see if there's a difference in time. If there's a difference in time, and you can repeat that test again and again, then you should be breathing to the side where you're fastest over that 200 meters. 200 meters is a good test. You don't have to swim 1500. You'll actually get a meaningful result by doing this test and then repeating it on a regular basis. Okay, hopefully that's helped you. Enjoy your racing, enjoy your training. Hopefully we'll get some nice weather too. Keep well, see you soon.